Basically, this phase here, we've got the entire frame almost completely stripped. And what we're trying to achieve at this phase is I've got my factory FJ62 axle, front axle right here. And then I have a used 60 series axle that had been sprung over, so it's already got some spring perches welded to it. Now, what I'm gonna do here is, because I have to cut the perches off of my rear axle anyway, because it's already got the spring over perches and I don't want those, I'm gonna use the factory spring hangers that are on the 40 frame. So this is new OME springs, bushings, all that stuff. So this is all going to be permanent. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that 60 rear and I'm gonna cut the perches off of it. I'm gonna take the measurements from the spring hangers front and back. And it turns out that the rears and the fronts are actually slightly different dimensions. The springs taper inward just a little bit, by about a 1/16 of an inch, if my measurements are correct. So I don't think the axle is really going to care that much. It's designed to flex anyway. So I'm going to probably average the two measurements and re-weld some perches onto the FJ60 rear axle. So that's how I'm going to handle the rear. Then in the front, what I've done here is drill out the old rivets that held the factory spring hangers in place. So those have been drilled out, pounded out, and then just kind of ground down. Same thing at the front here. We've got our original holes. Did my best to not destroy the factory spring mounts. I really would like to reuse those if possible. So essentially what I'm going to do here is, these are, based on my measurements, these are going to be stepped out about 1.3 inches. So they'll be out about here. So just going to build a simple top plate with a 45, some nice fillet cuts on that to keep it nice and clean. Same thing goes for back here. We're going to try and build this pretty beefy, but also fairly straightforward. Again, up here, cut all the rivets out of the front that held the factory bumper in place, because I'm going to have to box all of this for my new power steering system, and this is going to get cut out so that I have a pass through for my power steering shaft. So the whole front of this is going to get changed around a fair bit, so I really had to cut off the front bumper. Anyway, so that's kind of where we stand right now. All right, so we're cutting the old mounts off the axles. Your boy gets a little carried away with the torch. Woo! Gotta patch that. Widening out those spring perches. These plasma cut parts are fucking sweet. She's getting there. The mobile welding. Doing our axle test fit. Definitely testing the maximum integrity of these tack welds, but yeah, gonna fold them over and see if this 60 series axle fits after all the fucking measuring I had to do.